Welcome to this virtual space. Tradition has named what we gather together a church, but we recognize that we are a collection of human beings that make one community, a gathering of love and spirit, and though we are all at different stages of life, we can still feel the connection that is our spiritual DNA. We remember those who have come before us. Our ancestors are many, and their collective memories guide and direct us through all of our days. We are conscious that the land we occupy is borrowed and shared. The universe has granted us a perfect place to grow our food, give us shelter, and give us the space for spiritual practice. To that end, we are also conscious that we must protect the land that we borrow, so that the generations to come can grow and thrive in harmony and love with the universe that is. We also recognize that the land is occupied from the first people, the Europeans called Elinawik, but who called themselves Inoka. Others have come to invade and seize, while others to live in harmony and share. Our land is also baptized in the blood, sweat, and the river of tears from enslaved Africans, who were forced from their homes and the home of their ancestors to become chattel property here in this land. May our spiritual practice recognize these relationships as we strive to live in harmony with our past, our present, and be forever conscious of the future we create. We are a spiritual people, a people of faith and love. We are Unitarian Universalists. We begin our worship with a prelude by our accompanist, Joy Heft. The lit chalice suggests the transformations that take place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join in the chalice lighting words on your screen. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. Our opening words this morning were written by Arlen Goff and is entitled Thresholds. Thresholds, we cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside, and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, for what we were, for what we are, to what we can be. In this time and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsting souls, come. Let us worship together. Our first hymn is number 128 and will be projected on your screen. For All That Is Our Life, number 128. Our reading this morning comes from the book that where the title of this sermon comes from. The book is entitled, When God Is Gone, Everything is Holy, and it's written by Chet Ramo. When God is gone, everything is holy, chapter 10. Spry little X, with its feet planted firmly on the ground and its arms uplifted in surprise, is our emissary to the unknown. René Descartes, in his book on geometry in 1637, first used X to stand for the undetermined variable in mathematical equations. Since then, we have trotted out X as a placekeeper when the true identity of a thing is unknown. The mysterious Mr. X, the creature from planet X, secret ingredient X. When in 1895 Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen discovered penetrating radiations of an unknown nature, he called them X-rays. We love our mysteries. News of Röntgen's discovery spread like wildfire. Wondrous rays, see the bones in your hand, count the coins in your purse. Now Röntgen's magical rays had become commonplace. So we turn to other sources of mystery. Black hole X1, television's X-Files. X marks the spot. Which brings me back to the curious Cartesian arc to God. As I write two books that do their best to reduce God ad absurdum, are being talked about everywhere, Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion and Sam Harris's The End of Faith, the authors go at religion like B-movie slashers armed with Occam's razor, and by the time they are finished, there is not much left but the gory shreds of miracles and superstitions. I enjoy both performances. God had it coming. But I won't go where Dawkins and Harris would like to take me. Something is amiss with their militant slash-and-burn atheism. If I can switch metaphors and turn the new one on its ear, Dawkins and Harris throw out the bathwater with the baby. In my inverted cliché, let the bathwater stand for the mind-stretching, draw-dropping, in-your-face wonder of the universe itself. The Herculean mystery that hides in every rainbow, every snowflake, every living cell. After all, water, as much as anything in our environment, is an adequate symbol for the creative agency that forges atoms in the hot interiors of stars, weds oxygen to hydrogen, and wets the earth with the stuff of life and consciousness. An agency worthy of attention, reverence, thanksgiving, praise. As for the baby, let that represent the cultural accretions that religious traditions have affixed to the water of mystery, the anthropomorphisms, misplaced pieties, triumphalism, intolerance toward infidels, supposed miracles and supernatural imaginings, memes without substance. So yes, toss out the baby, but save the water. What about those other scientists who have authored current popular books, Francis Collins and Owen Gingerich, for example? Christian theists who opt for, and in Stephen Jay Gould's phrase, non-overlapping magisteria of science and religion. They want the bathwater and the baby too. But can a scientist who is committed to naturalistic formula explanations believe in religion founded on miracles? And if so, how does one reconcile two contradictory ways of knowing? If Collins and Gingrich had been born in China, say, or India, their science would be the same, but their religion would almost certainly be different. Accidents of birth are surely an unreliable guide to truth, which is why the religious naturalist or scientific agnostic chooses a single magisterium, a natural world that can be known empirically, however imperfectly. At this moment in history, the most reliable way of knowing the natural world is science. Of all the cultural incrustations of natural religion, the most troublesome has been the notion of a personal God, a viral meme that infects in one way or another. Harris, Dawkins, Collins, and Gingrich, as well as almost everyone who writes on the subject of science and faith, myself included, God in our own image, God invested with human qualities, justice, love, will, desire, jealousy, sacrifice, artifice, and so on. In short, attributes of human personhood. The divinity of the conventional theist is not so much seen through a glass darkly as in a mirror brightly. And what could be more natural? What metaphor is closer to hand than our own self-awareness? Pre-scientific people invested every tree, brook, and celestial body with personhood. For all of its grandeur and refinement, the modern idea of a transcendent personal deity who acts willfully in the world is only the final manifestation of ancient animism. For the religious agnostic, that is the ultimate idolatry. The personhood of God is the mimetic offspring of human imagination. So yes, toss it, but retain the waters of refreshment, the beautiful and terrible mystery that soaks creation as water soaks a rag, diminished by any name we give it, the abiding, intuited, ultimate X. For our meditation this morning, let us take time to sit in a comfortable spot, gather our thoughts, clear our minds, be cognizant of our breath. Let's pause for a moment or two to gather ourselves in quiet. Let us calm our breath, then lengthen it. Emptying ourselves as we prepare to be filled. Whatever last week delivered, whatever next week will hold, let us focus on our breath. Let us focus on right now. Let us come back to ourselves and all that's already been true. As we think about joys and concerns that we each may have, you may be moved to light a candle, to look at a passage, to think, to be aware, to speak what you are having a joy or a concern about. Speak it to yourself, maybe email it to a friend, but think about now about the joys and the concerns that you've had in your week, this past week. As we come together in this virtual space, you can speak your joys and concerns. Give it to the universe, let it go, and let it be. So the sermon today is entitled, When God is Gone, Everything is Holy. Some might find this a little contradictory or a little startling a title. Unless you really know me, then you would know that it's probably pretty par for the course. This is based on a book of the same title by Chet Ramo. Chet Ramo is a science writer, is a scientist. He is a emeritus professor of physics from a small college in Massachusetts, Stonehill College. Chet Ramo wrote this book as kind of a meditation on his early life and his journey from Catholicism into what he refers to as religious naturalism, which is kind of what I'm going to talk about today. A little bit of my little just journey and reflect a little bit on my position in as a skeptic agnostic in this religious world here. A good quote from Chet Ramo is, as he espouses a scientific skepticism for his beliefs, "For the religious naturalist, darkness and silence are not the paradox, they are the resolution. The apophatic tradition ends in effective negation. God is not this, God is not that, God is not. Not only do we fall silent in the face of the word itself dissolves into silence. We too walk a fine line, not between skepticism and faith, but between skepticism and cynicism. We try to stay firmly on the side of skepticism, open to whatever winds of wisdom blow our way, and as far for knowledge of the world, we cherish the scientific way of knowing, tentative, partial, evolving." My own journey from religion to agnosticism to Unitarian Universalism began probably in the year 2005, 2006, as I've described before in other sermons. But I want to talk about the first time that the first Sunday that I probably was without church. For many years, church was a normal and a usual thing on the Sunday morning, and it had become, in a sense, work. It was a work of a second nature. So when I finally was able to shake the obligation of being there on a Sunday morning. I remember being out driving somewhere and seeing the majestic sun beaming through these certain clouds, and it looked like, as it does in many times in the early morning, the sunbeams coming down to earth. Some people of a religious nature would think that this is like looking at the hand of God coming down from the heavens. But to me, as a scientist, it struck me as to what the nature and the reality of what that was that I was seeing. And yes, I had a God experience, a true God experience, God in great outdoors, God experience. Religious tradition, Christianity, and other religious traditions, in a negative sense, they bring about, and they're guided by rules and dogma, and they bring us a lot of guilt about following these rules and dogma. If you don't follow the rules and the dogma to the letter, then you feel guilty, you feel separated, you feel not part of the community in which that these typical rules arise in. And there's a certain darkness that overtakes you when you realize the guilt that you feel. But not everything is negative in religious traditions. In fact, there's a lot of positive things in these a lot of religious traditions that we have evolved from. The first being community. Religious traditions offer a community and a place for people to gather together, to be friends, to be loved ones, to be family together. Ritual is a lot. There are some people that thrive on ritual, and some people that do not. Some people that want to run away from ritual. I think it seems like a lot of the new Christian churches, these pole barn churches, the churches that spring up everywhere in the Missouri countryside, Illinois countryside, they tend to eschew a ritual and into the form of becoming more like a Christian rock concert, for every worship service, and then they're always focused on the minister as this divine prophet who is sent from God to save the people. But ritual has a place in all of our lives. We every day we move through our space, we are doing and we are practicing ritual. So, action. Many religious traditions help us to be form action in the community and do social justice things, do things in the community that help the community and be part of the community. And finally, another positive of religious tradition would be sacrament. For those of you who grew up Catholic, you have heard this word many times. Sacrament in the Catholic tradition can be thought of as a visible sign of God's grace in the world. And the way I always understood sacrament is that it is a visible sign of the presence of God or the being of God every day in our everyday lives. So sacrament was always, there was communion, baptism, marriage, blah, blah, blah. But sacrament also could be the smile on your wife or your husband's face. Sacrament could be the friendship of another person. Sacrament could be looking at your child and seeing what you might think of as the face of God there. So sacrament is something that helps us in our everyday lives and kind of molds us together. Sacraments could be everyday things, not just things that occur in church. So to me, sacrament became, in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, sacrament became the way that I would view everyday life. As I read through one of the chapters or part of the chapters of Chet Ramo's book When God is gone, everything is holy. To me, when you release the old ways, the old dogmas, when for my thinking, when you finally get rid of these dogmas and kind of push them aside in your life, then you can see these everyday little sacraments become real, become reality. So as I'm saying this, what I'm thinking about is that the first thing that struck me when I saw the title, and I thought about the title to be a sermon, was that when the traditional personal God that Christianity has made an industry of, and then has created for want of a better word, created an idol to worship. When that God is gone, then the world to me seemed more holy. Then I can look and see these everyday sacraments. I can see the sacraments of my everyday life and the people that I meet every day and everywhere. So that just not just in a church setting, in a traditional church setting, or in a Catholic setting, Protestant setting, that personal, vengeful, rule-abiding God, once that had disappeared, everything seems more holy. Everything seems more sacramental. Everything seems to point toward a world and a universe that is guided by love and by our connection to everything and everyone. I want to read another little passage from Chet Ramo's book that I think explains it a little bit. So many of you may know that personally I work, and my whole life is pretty much wrapped up in being a scientist. I am a cancer researcher at Washington University School of Medicine. I am an immunologist. I am very involved in a project that is attempting to map the interiors of individual tumors from people, and we are trying to look and see exactly all the components that are there, and try to drill deep down into what an actual tumor is that causes this dreaded disease of cancer. The project I work on is part of a huge effort, a concerted effort that was started back in I think it was probably 2014, and was actually initiated by then Vice President Joe Biden, now President Joe Biden. The project is part of this initiative called the Cancer Moonshot Initiative, and the project that I work on is part of that. So I go through this life as a committed scientist, and that is how I live my daily life. So I want to read another little passage from Chet's book here. Keep two things in mind. First, life is a machine, or life is a computer, is only metaphors. All understanding is metaphorical in science and poetry and even theology. Few people any longer make mistake that the gray-bearded man on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel for the creator of the universe. But Michelangelo's metaphor still powerfully resonates with those who believe in a personal God. Second, the mechanical metaphor for life does not so much reduce the marvelous to the mundane as it elevates the mundane to the marvelous. Mundane comes from the Latin mundus, meaning world. The more we understand the staggeringly complex molecular machinery of life, the more truly marvelous the world becomes. But I've been told more times than I can count, think of life as a machine, and you'll treat life as a machine. As I write, I am again watching a hummingbird at the feeder outside my window, and I hear the scolding voices. Think of the hummingbird as a little whirling clockwork, and you'll treat it as a clockwork. Well, no. I don't treat the hummingbird as a clockwork. But what makes the hummingbird different is not that the bird has an incredible hummingbird soul, but complexity. Even in a single cell in the hummingbird's body is vastly more complex than the most elaborate clockwork. It is the overwhelmingly complexity of the hummingbird that commands my reverence and my love. And my appreciation for the hummingbird is enhanced by everything I know biologically about its metabolism, its aerodynamics, its biochemistry, in short, everything we have learned by application of the mechanical metaphor. The idea of an irreducible, incorporeal soul is lovely, but it has led exactly nowhere. And before you say, so what? Ask yourself if you would prefer to live in a world without modern medicine. If your child had polio or bird flu or COVID, as we might say now, would you rather know about mechanically reducible viral biochemistry or irreducible souls? If you answer the latter, then at least you are consistent in rejecting the mechanical metaphor for life. With new metaphors and the corresponding new instructions and new instruments, science has revealed to our astonished eyes the universe of the galaxies and the quarks, neuronal nets and DNA, a universe that cannot be remotely comprehended with animistic or anthropomorphic metaphors. And the corollary of these remarkable discoveries is profound. Yes, our knowledge has increased dramatically, but so has our awareness of what we do not know. This is perhaps the most important scientific discovery of the last century, our ignorance. Nature loves to hide. Perhaps her ultimate secrets are hidden forever. Our minds, after all, are finite. The universe may be infinite. We lift the veil, we find another, and another, and another, and we are back where we began, with Heraclitus. The astonishing success of the mechanical metaphor has led not to hubris, but to humility, to profound awareness of what we do not know. Make no mistake, the mechanical metaphor does not exhaust the world's meaning. For the religious naturalist, the universe sings beyond any metaphor we employ to understand it. We are enchanted by the veiled goddess, teased, seduced. We lift her veils in a kind of unending foreplay. We expect no consummation. We would in fact be rather shattered if somehow we were allowed to know the ultimate secrets of the universe. The coy goddess conceals her secrets in the hummingbird's electric heart and in the new-borning stars of the great Orion Nebula, in the spinning molecular motors of DNA, and in the flower in the crannied wall. No, not hubris, but humility. Not certainty, but the modesty of truth with a lowercase t. Our knowledge is finite. Our ignorance is infinite. We have no beatific vision in this world or any other. In compensation, I take from my Catholic upbringing a sacramental view of the world. In Catholic theology, a sacrament is an outward visible sign of grace instituted by God for our sanctification. Here's a paragraph in the online Catholic Encyclopedia. The reasons underlying a sacramental system are as follows. Taking the word sacrament in its broadest sense as the sign of something sacred and hidden, the Greek word is mystery. We can say that the whole world is a vast sacramental system, and that material things are unto men the sign of things spiritual and sacred, even of the divinity. It's a simple and elegant formulation that survives translation into the language of scientific agnostic. Every object of the natural world bears within itself a mostly hidden relationship to every other object. In attending prayerfully to these webs of relationship, we integrate ourselves more fully into the fabric of the universe. Grace, in this sense, is that which enables us to live peacefully. And grace, as Bernano's country priest said, is everywhere. When God is gone, everything is holy. Praise this world to the angel, says the poet Rainer Maria Rilke. Do not tell him the untellable. Show him some simple thing, refashioned by age after age, till it lives in our hands and eyes as part of ourselves. Tell him things. He'll stand more astonished. So As I live my life amongst all the most holy things that I've ever encountered. Because when I reject and throw away that personal male being of God, everything becomes holy and everything is sacred. The entire universe, the universe of this world, the universe that is beyond, everything is now holy. Thank you. Our offering this morning, we offer the gentle reminder that this community of faith is supported only by your giving. We need each other, and in times of trial, we need each other even more. You can mail your gift to the church at Post Office Box 494, Alton, Illinois 62002, or you can give electronically by searching for First Unitarian Church of Alton on the Give Liffey app or by using PayPal on our website. Give what you will, for you are generous people. Please join me in our offering prayer, the slide that may appear on your screen. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Our final hymn today is number 94, What is This Life? Number 94. Please see it projected on your screen and enjoy the accompaniment by Joy Heft. Please join me in our unison words for extinguishing the chalice. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. Our benediction today is entitled Universal Rhythm and is written by Israel Burfardi. My friends, when you go from here, know that our hearts are always in a holy place, for we are always connected to one another. Know that deep down our hearts beat in one universal rhythm. May we each find the sacred space to hear it. Go and be well. Go and seek justice. Go and look for truth. Look for truth in God, the great outdoors.
When I was a boy, each week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. And now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything, everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. Holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. And now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-you-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy.